Om Shanti. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday Wellness with the Brahma Kumaris. We are so excited to have you. Good evening, everyone. So I
Welcome
wanted
to
to
Wednesday Wellness with the Brahma Kumaris.
so I wanted to let you know that this session is translated in Hindi. तो जिन्हें हिंदी ट्रांसलेशन चाहिए आप इंटरप्रिटेशन पर जाएं। तो अगर आपने आईपैड से लॉगिन किया है तो 3 डॉट्स होते हैं आईपैड पर। तो वो क्लिक करके इंटरप्रिटेशन चूज करिए। इंटरप्रिटेशन हिंदी। तो आप हिंदी में सुन सकते हैं। ओके, सो इंटरप्रिटेशन हिंदी इज ऑन। लैंग्वेज इंटरप्रिटेशन एक जैसे वर्ल्ड जैसा सिंबल होगा इंटरप्रिटेशन का, उस पर आप क्लिक कर सकते हैं। या आईपैड से या आईफोन से अगर ज्वाइन किया है तो मोर, और फिर मोर में आपको मिलेगा इंटरप्रिटेशन। उस पर क्लिक करके हिंदी चूज करिए एंड म्यूट ओरिजिनल ऑडियो। So, it's been such a long time. I believe we have met. And, last week when I was reading about the solar eclipse coming on April 8th, which was Monday, and I was just very excited about the solar eclipse. But at the same time, I came to know that the eclipse has certain implications on the earth. And on Friday, so I'm in New Jersey, and on Friday we've got an earthquake, a 4.8 magnitude earthquake in the morning. So everything was shaking, and I thought it was just the dryer making that sound, but it was actually the earthquake. Let's pause a moment. It's our traffic control. So let's look at our thoughts. Let's look at our quality and quantity of thoughts. Om Shanti. So in the Brahma Kumaris, we have this called traffic control where we pause every hour to check our thoughts and our feelings, right? To pause, withdraw, renew, and come back in action. So on Friday, when the earthquake hit, um, there was just this kind of a feeling where we live in very delicate times. We had COVID, and now we see there are, so many natural calamities happening in the world. And I just opened up to check, earthquake, and I saw that throughout the world, in last couple of days, there were so many earthquakes. And I just realized that, we all need to send this collective elevated vibrations to the world. And for that, I first need to empower myself. And so this thought that I was just kind of pushing it for some time of this weekly session came, and I just got started with it. So every Wednesday we meet for this Wednesday wellness. And in the world now, wellness is such a big term. When you look at companies, organizations, they focus a lot on wellness. Wellness is our physical wellness, our emotional well-being, our mental wellness, and everything boils down to self-care. When we talk about wellness, everything comes to self-care. How do I take care of myself in this fast moving, fast paced world? Do I even pause and take care of myself? Or I'm too busy with my job, with my relationships, taking care of so many things around me, and I really don't have time to take care of myself. So just take a moment and I want you to look at your today, just the day that you spent, and check that today, can I list at least 5 tasks or actions that I performed for the self? Tasks that made me happy, actions that sustain me. And if I'm able to, great. But if I'm not, then I really have to pay attention. So, what is self care? So, as the word goes, self care is caring for the self. What is the self that I need to care for? So, many times people talk about self care and, they talk about physical, the body care, right? They would say, get a massage, just go to a spa, we take the self care, take all the pampering that you can, right? And that's all self care of the body. Mm. But here, do I take care of the being that I am, the being that actually needs pampering? So these Wednesday wellness sessions are going to help us take care of the being who I truly am, the being, the energy, the soul, the spirit, the consciousness, whatever we want to call, the Atma, whatever we want to call. But these Wednesday wellness sessions are going to help us go deeper into self care of the being who I am. So every week we will dive deeper and deeper into, it's like, we'll go into layer by layer and just kind of try to reach the core of our being. And during this process, probably we might, come across certain things that I was not expecting, certain behaviors or habits that probably I didn't know I had. And that's fine. Feel free. You can always message me. I think most of you have my uh, WhatsApp, so you can message me. And for those watching on YouTube, you can send a message in the chat, and we can definitely talk about it in our next session. If you have any questions, feel free to write in the chat, and we'll try to address those as well. So, today, let's talk about thinking and thoughts. Okay. So, do you know that on an average, a human mind generates about 50,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day? And if I ask you, how many thoughts do you remember? So, since morning, we all have created about 30 to 40,000 thoughts, depending on our stage, job, stress, whatever is happening in our life. And if I ask you to list 100 thoughts, can we do that? It's difficult. right? Can we list 50? Still difficult, right? So, why is it so difficult? And the reason is that throughout the day, we are so busy in thinking. So, thinking is a verb. I'm so busy thinking that I don't pay attention to my thoughts. And thoughts is a noun. Hmm? Thoughts are energy. Thinking is a pattern. Okay. When I keep thinking something over and over again, it becomes part of my personality. It becomes a habit and it defines me who I am. When we look at the world, everything that's happening in the world is the output of thinking. Do you agree? And with every thought, there's a feeling. When I create happy thoughts, I have happy feelings, right? When I create not so happy thoughts, I have those feelings. So every thought has a feeling associated with it. And when I keep repeating a certain thought over and over and over and over again, it's thinking and the same energy I'm reinforcing. So if I look at my life is the result of my thoughts and thinking. What I am today, my personality, is a result of my thoughts, feelings, emotions, which is connected to the thoughts and my thinking. So if I really want to work on myself, what I need to do is change my thinking, change the quality of thoughts so I can change my thinking. So I'll share with you a story. So this story is of a Buddhist monk who wanted to experience peace. So he goes to his master and he says that, Master, I get angry and I want to experience peace. So the master says, okay, why don't you go find yourself a place and meditate and you will become peaceful. So he goes under a tree, he sits, and then he's trying to focus and he's trying to meditate. But then there's a lot of things happening around. So he gets irritated and angry. He goes to his master and says, there's so much happening around here. I really cannot focus and I'm still getting irritated and angry. So the master says, do you know the reason why you're getting irritated and angry? And he says, no. Says, okay, find out. So he goes and he decides to go in a cave and meditate. And when he goes there, he is able to meditate for some time, but after some time, there's again some chirping, some noises around, and he gets distracted and he again gets angry. So he again goes to his master and he says, you know, I again got angry with these birds chirping and this sound around me. And the master was like, do you know why you're getting angry? Do you know the source of your anger? And he says, no. He says, okay, try to find out. So he goes again and he says, now I'll get away from all these people everywhere and I'll go in the middle of the lake and I will meditate there. Nobody will be there to disturb me. So he goes in the boat, he goes in the middle of the lake and he sits there and meditates. And there's nothing around him to disturb him. So he has a good meditation and he goes to his master and says, you know, I had a very good meditation. Nothing disturbed me. And the master just smiles. And after a few days of, going in the middle of the lake and doing his meditation, he was able to just stay focused and get, into a meditative state. Excuse me. And then one day, suddenly out of nowhere, he sees a boat coming closer to his boat. And he starts shouting, "Stop, stop, you'll hit me. What are you doing? Stop." But the boat just continues to come. And then the boat hits his boat. And then he starts yelling, like, "Can't you see? Are you blind?" Right? He loses his peace, he loses everything and starts yelling at the boat to find out that there's nobody in that boat. That boat was empty. So he realized that probably that boat would have drifted away, you know, just the boat had drifted away and just reached in the middle of the lake and just happened to be there and hit his boat. And that is the moment he realized that all our feeling, emotions, everything is not because of an external situation, but it's because of my perception or my overthinking of that situation. There was nobody in the boat to get angry on. The boat was empty. It was no one's fault. But the anger, the habit of anger that he had created, or the irritation he had created, just came so naturally to him, as if someone else was standing in front of him and he was just yelling at that person. So, if we look at our lives, do we feel that even we overreact to situations, overreact to people, overreact to certain things that are not in our control? And where is this overreaction coming from? This overreaction is coming from my overthinking and my assumption. So, one of the practices that I want you to take from today is check. Am I assuming? It's very funny. What we do is we live in a life of ifs and buts. If this happens, then this, and then that, agar aisa to vaisa, agar aise, right? And then we create a picture, we create a story inside our own mind. And then based on that story, we start perceiving something, and then we start feeling something, and then we create an image about this person. And the whole reason behind that is assumption. Am I assuming, or do I know the fact? So, this whole week, one practice for all of you is going to check. Anytime I'm thinking about someone, I'm creating a thought about someone, I will ask myself, is this my assumption or is this based on a fact? Is this just hearsay? Someone said this, that's why, or have I experienced it? Can we do that? Show me a thumbs up if we can. Can we check? Yes. Hmm. So, great. So, just we will check, am I assuming or is it based on fact? The second practice, the second practice that I will check for this entire week is when I catch myself thinking, I will ask myself a question. What is my thought? So if I ask you a question right now, what are you thinking? Like even right now, as you're listening, you are thinking. So what am I thinking? And we'll get off guard. We don't know what are we thinking. And then if I ask you a question, what is your present thought? Now, this gives me an opportunity to create a thought. So, let me create a thought and let that thought be an elevated thought. So, there are four different types of thoughts. Okay. One is positive thoughts, that is, thoughts that are based on virtues. Virtues are, we know virtues, right? Love, peace, happiness, contentment, harmony, cooperation. So, those are positive thoughts. Second, negative thoughts. Negative thoughts are thoughts based on the vices or the weakness. And these are anger, lust, greed, attachment, ego, jealousy, comparison, right? All of that. Laziness, carelessness. So these are my weak thoughts, negative thoughts. The third are necessary thoughts. Necessary thoughts are thoughts that are necessary. So, when I'm hungry, I'll eat. When I'm thirsty, I'll go and get myself water. So I'm not thinking too much. I'm not analyzing too much. These are someone, knocks on the door. I'll go and open the door. So these are necessary thoughts. And the fourth ones are called waste thoughts. And waste thoughts are thinking about the past, worrying about the future, thinking about someone, worrying about someone. These are waste thoughts. And one of the biggest reasons that we don't remember our thoughts is because throughout the day, most of our thoughts are waste thoughts. And waste thoughts take a lot of energy from us. Think about it, there's a machinery, and that machinery is constantly running. The machine is constantly running, but the output is waste, nothing useful. What would be the efficiency of the machinery be? Zero, na? Productive nahi hai na? It's not productive. It's not giving anything productive. So the efficiency is actually zero. So in the same way, think about it. If the mind is creating so many thoughts and majority of them are waste thoughts, what is the efficiency? What do we call that mind? Right? It's wasteful. And that's why at the end of the day, many times we just get exhausted because I was not in touch with my thinking. I was thinking over and over about something or about someone. Probably I didn't catch it. And that's why I feel exhausted at the end of the day. So, and the fifth quality, which is the highest quality of thoughts, is elevated thoughts. And what are elevated thoughts? Elevated thoughts are not just good thoughts or not just positive thoughts, but elevated thoughts are thoughts that bring benefit to the self and the world. So I'm thinking from a higher level of bringing benefit or transformation for the self and the world. Those are elevated thoughts. And elevated thoughts create elevated feelings, elevated emotions, and wellness. So if I focus on creating elevated thoughts, automatically I carry that energy of those thoughts. My attitude will change. My personality will change. And let me tell you, elevated thoughts are not that many in number. I'll not be able to create so many of them. See, negative thoughts go like this. If you look at the chart, it's like so many thoughts in 1 minute. But elevated thought will be like just a few in a minute. But they will stay. The experience of that will be there. Waste thoughts are more like we're all over the place. Do you have you seen that? Like, what is it called? There's that ball or something you throw and then it goes in all different directions, right? So that's how ways thoughts are all over the place. We'll not be able to gather them. But elevated thoughts, I know they are focused, concentrated thoughts, which is for self benefit, self transformation, and world transformation. So, your second practice is that you will check whenever you catch yourself throughout the day, just as we have traffic controls, you can catch yourself throughout the day and quickly ask, what am I thinking? Or what am I feeling? If I'm able to catch what am I feeling, I know what I'm thinking. So, as subtle, as deep as my feeling. So, if I'm able to know that, okay, I'm feeling this way, what is the reason? Because I'm thinking this. Let me change my thinking pattern. Let me introduce new set of thoughts and change my thinking pattern. And once I create a new pattern with new thoughts, everything changes, right? So meditation is not stopping my thoughts. Meditation is creating new patterns of thoughts, creating new ways of thinking. That's meditation. So we'll take one step at a time and just work on slowly create changing the quality of thoughts. Can we do that? So two things, right? One is I'm going to check if I'm thinking about someone, is it assuming or is it factual? And second is throughout the day, I will check and catch myself. How am I feeling? What am I thinking? And introduce new set of thoughts. Okay? Yes. So we'll continue next week, but let's end with about 10. We have about 15 minutes. So let's end with 10 minutes of meditation. And if you have any questions, you can write them in the chat after the meditation. So I want you all to sit very comfortably and take a deep breath and let it out. Take another deep breath and release. I thank myself for taking this time out for my self care. I've kept myself constantly on the go, performing so many actions, playing so many different roles that I didn't realize what I need for myself. As I thank myself for taking this time out, creating this determined thought of taking care of myself, my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions. When I take care of myself, I'm actually taking care of everyone around me. Because when I am full, when I am happy, when I am emotionally well, I'm able to share the same happiness with everyone around me, my family, my children, my coworkers, my friends. I take a moment and look at my life. I look at my relationships. And I realize that they all are an extension of my feeling and emotions. Every being around me is managing their own feelings and emotions. Everyone is moving around with a burden, with the baggage of their perceptions. And so did I. And today I choose to change my perceptions, my perception of who am I, my perception of others. I choose to see everyone in their original beauty of who they are. We all are these peaceful, powerful, loveful beings. Each one of us is loved by God, is a lovely child of God. When I choose to see the divinity in myself, I'm able to see the divinity in others. I choose divinity. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. So, anyone has any questions? So, we know our homework. And if you have a question, raise your hand and I can unmute you. I think Deepak Bhai, you have a question? I'll unmute you. Yeah, you can unmute yourself. Do you have a question? No question? Okay. Okay. So if you have a question, just feel free. Okay, I can see something in the chat. Yes, it is the same link every Wednesday. And this is also live on YouTube. And our YouTube channel is Gateway to Divinity. So you can subscribe to that channel. It's Gateway to Divinity. So this is also live on YouTube. But if you join here, you can get the translation. On YouTube, it's just English. Okay, so can some of you turn on your videos so I can just say hello to you? So good to see you all. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. Long, long time. Thank you. Om Shanti. Wonderful. So, were you with me? Were you able to understand? Yeah. So, are we going to practice? Yes. It's really simple, right? We'll start with assumptions and we'll start with just our thoughts. We'll take one step at a time and we'll check again after a few weeks how we feel, right? But most importantly is that practice. We really need to practice and just pay attention. And it's, many a times we feel that spirituality is just for the self, but spirituality is not just for the self, it's also for people we love. Because now, what I'm giving them, I can definitely give them a better version of myself, right? And many times we just accept our relationships the way they are. But think about it. I definitely can be a better version and share a better version of myself with people I love and people who love me, right? And definitely the world. So the world needs our elevated vibrations right now. Truly, people in the world need that. The elements need that. Everyone needs that. So let's, I'm glad that we have taken this step and we'll continue on this journey together. Okay. All right. So I will see you next Wednesday. Is this time okay for everyone? Yeah. I know so many from India wanted to join, but um, it's too early for them. So that's why we have the YouTube and they can just watch the YouTube. So someone is asking in the chat, can we repeat the homework? Yes. So the homework is I'm going to, whenever I am talking about someone or I'm thinking about someone, I'm going to check if I am thinking or speaking based on any assumptions or is it a fact? So most of the times, if I check, my thoughts about others is based on telling this, someone saying this, or my own assumptions of them, or my own perceptions of them, right? And that's why, all this wasteful thinking starts. So first, I'll check if I'm coming from a place of assumptions or, it's something that I know for a fact. And if it's an assumption, I'll stop it right there. I'll stop and I'll start giving a good wish to that soul. So I'll start sending them good wishes. The second homework is I'm going to check my thoughts, feelings, check what am I thinking, and then introduce an elevated thought into my thinking pattern so that I start creating a new elevated thinking pattern. Okay? Doable? Yeah. And you know what you can do for this? You can actually download our B Zone app. We have an app called B Zone, Beezone. It's the bumblebee is the image. It's a free app you can download. And if you set it up every hour, it'll just give you a reminder. Sometimes just a little beep on your phone, or you can have a music if you want. But it'll just kind of remind you to, hey, withdraw, check check your thinking, check your feeling, check what are you, what what's going on. It really helps. So it really helps. So, I'll tell you my experience. I had, so for some time, I had stopped doing the traffic control. I was traveling and I was in India for majority of last year. And I just missed doing these traffic controls. So, when you're not doing something, you're not paying too much attention. And then I would start getting, by the end of the day, I would start getting like exhausted, right? And I didn't know what was happening. And then I realized that, hey, I'm not checking my thoughts. I'm not doing this every hour that I'm used to. So I installed it on my, because I had just removed everything from my phone. So now I installed something on my phone. It kind of just gives this little Om Shanti thing. And then even when I'm in a meeting at work, anywhere I'm in a meeting, I can just withdraw 15 seconds, come back, check, feeling okay, coming from your self respect. Okay, great, come back in action. Just 15 seconds. And that really helps a lot, right? So these traffic controls really help us. So we'll start with that. And we'll start with, am I coming from a place of assumption or fact? This helps us, look at others with love. This gives us an opportunity to share good wishes with others rather than, thinking about their weaknesses. Dadi Janki, who was our administrative head, and Dadi Janki, many of you know Dadi Janki. So Dadi Janki always used to say that if you see someone's weakness, that weakness is already in you. So if I am just focusing on someone's weakness, that means that weakness is in me already. It's growing in me. So if I keep thinking about someone's weakness, actually that's growing in me. And in no time I start behaving like them, right? So that's why we come from a place of, let me stop and give them a good wish rather than looking at their negative. And next week we'll look at a different perspective. Okay. So every week we'll have a different practice and we'll introduce different perspective of relationships, of how I can be. Okay, Chi? All right. So everyone have a good night and I will see you next Wednesday. Om Shanti. You can unmute yourself if you want. Om Shanti.